Anna, I'll love you forever. You are the rock that makes me strong. Hello, I'm Mr. Bates. Did you know that Mike's Daily Podcast is completely independently created and produced? If anyone ever touches you, Anna, I'm going to kill them. Did you know that just about every podcast you listen to is part of a huge network, corporation, or is just lifted off of a radio station? I don't know what radio is. I don't think they had that yet when this show takes place. Did you know that big-name podcast players like iTunes and Stitcher show only the podcasts that pay for advertising or who have big names that have been on TV and film? PBS makes so much money off of me, it's crazy. Please do what you can to support independent podcasters. And leave Anna alone. She's been through a lot. And now, Mike's Daily Podcast with Mike Matthews.
This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 823. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, the return of the much-loved feature WOW SCHATZ WOW, where we look at some interesting, surprising, recent news stories. Plus, we hear from Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley. And do you have a Windows phone? Do you feel lonely? Soon, you won't. Mike's Daily Podcast. Because there's an app for that. Hey, name a great French actor. How about Jean Reno? Mike's Daily Podcast. He's been in a lot of movies. On the last show, the brewmaster dipped me in a vat of maple syrup when I was asleep, and then he cleaned me off before I was awake. Now that's just a little bit creepy. It's 1:15, and I'm all alone, and I need you now. There are so many podcasts to listen to, so how did you find this one? That just mystifies me. Mike's Daily Podcast. But I'm very thankful that you are listening. We got lots of fun stuff coming up on this show. But first, Mike's, I would like to say, Daily, the whole world's gone podcastry. Yeah! People listening to podcasts everywhere. Back in 2009, I spoke of how I looked forward to the day when everyone had a podcast, because we all have a voice, we all have something to say. Of course, when everyone's talking, nobody's listening. But I just thought there's just so much talent that can be unlocked in little home studios, basement studios, studios around people grabbing their laptops and recording. And I thought, this is going to be great. But then a little thing happened. A frog got in my voice. Just a moment. That's what happens when you drink a all-berry smoothie. Gosh, it was like raspberries in this, strawberries. Dang, it's amazing I can even... Gosh, there's so much clutter and such in my speaking voice box. But yeah, with all of the clutter in the podcast world, people narrow it down by checking out the iTunes top 10, or they check out the what's featured in podcasts. That's how they find out what podcasts they to listen to. Because they don't know. The name podcast doesn't even mean... What is this weird word that sounds like some kind of vegetable that I should eat? Or isn't it the name of a bunch of whales when they get together and they broadcast? And what Mr. Bates was saying at the beginning of the show, and by the way, the most tortured character on television, so sad. I sure hope he gets to be with Anna and happy in the end, don't you? No? Yes. Do you have a heart? What he was saying was, go and try and listen to the independent podcasters. The people that don't have a big network to boost them up, or a big advertising budget, or iTunes behind them, or NPR, or any of those other big corporations. Because there's so much talent out there. I was thinking about it, and like the whole 50 Shades of Grey movie, that came from a blog. Somebody was writing fan fiction, imagining what would happen if the characters from Twilight were repositioned in a business world type setting. And that's how that book came about. It originally was published online. And then a bunch of people paid for the book, and they could have been just reading it for free online back when it was fan fiction. But that's where the talent came from, people putting stuff up on the internet. The same with all the indie bands that I have featured on this show. A lot of them just throw it on the internet and say, buy this. And they don't got like a big iTunes push where you go to iTunes and bam, there they are on the front page. No, they're going through Bandcamp and SoundCloud. It's tough to find them. You have to search for them or listen to the show and I bring them to you. Yeah, let's hear it for independent bands, independent authors, independent podcasters, independent everything. Look, it just walked in. Hello, my name is Madame Rootabega and I like Independence Day. That's a little ways off, but yes, that's true. Independence Day is a great day. Lots of delicious food and celebrating America. Maybe I had the priorities wrong on that. Celebrating America, parades, delicious food. Independence Day. Oh yeah, fireworks are in there somewhere too. But Michael Matthew, today is Oscar Day! That's right. Today, for all you people named Oscar and the Academy Awards going on, I forget what movies are nominated, a bunch that I didn't see. You didn't see The Batman? No. I did. Oh, I saw the Alan Turing one. That's right. But, is that even nominated for anything? And Neil Patrick Harris is hosting, and that's going to be phenomenal because he does the opening production segments of award shows better than anybody else. He's truly talented. Look who else just walked in, speaking of truly talented.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we don't go to see the movies anymore because we don't like the high prices and we don't like a bunch of people talking on their cell phones in the theaters.
Yeah, turn your cell phones off. Do you know that? What I used to like to do, I used to live really close to a movie theater, and I would go to the shows like in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday because I was doing nights at a radio station back then and I could do that. And I'd go see the movies people weren't going to see, like Moulin Rouge or what was the French one? The Amélie. And nobody would be in the theater. It was fun. I felt like I was like this big, powerful movie executive getting this theater all to myself. I rather liked it. But here in the Bay Area, that doesn't really happen because people go to see those artsy movies in droves. My ex-wife and I went to see Moonrise Kingdom and the Wes Anderson movie. That was so packed, that theater. We had to sit in the front row. And to be in the front row of a Wes Anderson movie, it really messes with your mind. It explains a lot of things that you are hearing on this podcast, probably. Michael Matthew, does that mean Jason Schwartzman or Jeff Goldblum are going to show up right now? Ooh. No, that would be not. Or Bill Murray. Wes Anderson's cast of characters he uses in just about every film. That would be cool. His interesting soundtracks featuring a lot of vintage music from the 60s, 70s, and then way back to when the phonograph was first created. He loves to use all kinds, just a tapestry of interesting sights and sounds.
Mike, the only tapestry I like is that Carole King album from the 1970s.
Oh, what's your favorite song?
I feel the earth move under my feet. Day.
Of course. I like So Far Away. Do you know that? Well, you may like this app so that you aren't so far away from other people. There's a number of ways to track and locate friends and family on both iOS and Android devices, but what if you are a Windows Phone user? Well, SlashGear.com says it seems that Microsoft is developing its own app for such features, so you may soon be in luck, assuming you actually have a friend or family member that also owns a Windows Phone. Good luck there. The app is called PeopleSense, and it's still in development, but a quick video premiere showed that it functions much like Apple's Find My Friends for iOS, which I have never, ever used on my iPhone. What? You mean all those days I was lonely, I could have just been finding friends? Oh, the limitless possibilities. For the tracking features, the app integrates heavily with Bing Maps. And that makes sense because Microsoft runs Bing. And it goes a step further than just displaying real-time locations by quickly providing directions for two users to meet up in person. PeopleSense also focuses on letting users call or message their contacts from within the app, as opposed to having to switch back and forth between a dedicated messaging platform. No word of an official release date yet, and PeopleSense is said to still be in limited beta testing, but there is a strong chance it could play a part in Microsoft's upcoming Windows 10, as well as working its way onto Surface tablets. What do you think about that? Do you use the Windows phone? This show is being done on a Windows, a PC. And supposedly the Windows podcast store, their marketplace where it is you can download podcasts, we're supposedly on that. But where I live here in Podcaster Valley and in the Bay Area, it is totally chic to be an Apple snob and thumb your nose up the thing against Windows. Michael Masher, that doesn't sound very nice. No. But what do you think about all that and about podcasts and about all this talent emerging through the internet and the fact that I was dipped in maple syrup but then nicely cleaned before I awoke?
Mike, I think I saw that on the menu of IHOP Day.
Yeah, I ordered that this morning. I have to take another shower. Do you know that? Email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you would like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. And the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, where my blog is, and the podcast picture. You can see that and hear all my past interviews, all there at mikesdailypodcast.com. And you can find links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and you can rate the show and rank the show. That helps more people find out about us. So even if we are not featured or our name is not Ira Glass, we will still be seen by maybe some people, and they will discover this independent podcast. There's also links to where to find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podomatic, Mixcloud, and Spreaker. And tell your friends about us through Facebook. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends, and more people find out about us that way too. That's awesome. Follow us on Twitter and retweet when we post a new show. There's also links to where to find us on Instagram, Yelp, Tumblr, and the Amazon link. If you click on that and buy something, anytime you're going to buy anything through Amazon, go through mikesdailypodcast.com, and you can help us out through buying stuff on Amazon that way.
Wow, Schatz, wow.
So when my mom was surprised by something, she would say to me, "Wow, Schatz, wow." I would surprise her with all kinds of things from time to time. I'd go, "Mom, I have decided that I'm going to get into radio." And she'd be, "Wow, Schatz, wow." So it's always cool to be surprised by things in life. It makes life interesting. And these are some interesting things you didn't know about that I'm going to tell you about right now in the segment Wow, Schatz, Wow. And these all have to do with misconceptions in our world today.
That a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Boy.
The medicine go down. Medicine go down.
Yeah, that's what that song says. But a study says that kind of imprecise measurement can lead to potentially dangerous dosing mistakes. The results published online in Pediatrics underscore recommendations that droppers and syringes that measure in milliliters be used for liquid medicines, not spoons. The study involved nearly 300 parents, mostly Hispanics, with children younger than 9 years old. The youngsters were treated for various illnesses at 2 New York City emergency rooms and sent home with prescriptions for liquid medicines, mostly antibiotics. Parents were contacted afterwards and asked by phone how they had measured the prescribed doses. They also brought their measuring devices to the researchers' offices to demonstrate doses they'd given their kids. This according to the Daily Journal and the Associated Press.
Parents who used spoonfuls were 50% more likely to give their children incorrect doses than those who had measured in more precise milliliter units. Incorrect doses including giving too much and too little, which can both be dangerous. Underdosing may not adequately treat an illness and can lead to medication-resistant infections, while overdoses may cause illnesses or side effects that can be life-threatening. The study doesn't include information on any ill effects from dosing mistakes. Almost 1/3 of the parents gave the wrong dose, and 1 in 6 used a kitchen spoon rather than a device like an oral syringe or a dropper that lists doses in milliliters. Less than half the prescriptions specified doses in milliliters, but even when they did, the medicine bottle label often listed doses in teaspoons. Parents often assume that means any similar-sized kitchen spoon. Well, now this is interesting because we as a society have been using inspecifics about a lot of things, like the labels on the back of, like, let's say potato chip bags, when they're saying, oh, this is for one serving of these potato chips, and you've got a small bag of potato chips, and you're thinking, oh, well, this must mean that this is for the whole bag that I have here because it's small. No, it ends up meaning that there's 2 servings inside that bag, but it doesn't say it. Now, they have recently, most companies have been being more specific and letting you know exactly how much, what the exact calories are on the bag itself, and listing that as an entire serving, which that makes things much nicer. And it helps the medicine go down, or the potato chips. That'd be music by Pitbull, the Blonde Beauty. I mean Bald Beauty. Did I say blonde? I meant bald. And speaking of pit bulls, October 25th, if you didn't know, that is National Pit Bull Awareness Day. And here's some interesting facts about pit bulls that are, well, these are misconceptions, and they hopefully will disperse the misconceptions. Pit bulls score better for aggression when compared to other dogs. Yes, temperament evaluations completed by the American Temperament Test Society give American Pit Bull Terriers a very high passing rate of 86.4%. That is higher than Beagles, Border Collies, and even Yorkies. National Pit Bull Awareness Day, October 25th, was actually established in 2007 as a day to educate and foster positive experiences in the communities in which we and our dogs live. It is a day to bring positive awareness and attention to these incredible dogs and their devoted, responsible owners, a day to change perceptions and stereotypes. This according to the Pet Lover's Guide. Now, here are some facts about pit bulls that you may not know. They are not human aggressive. In fact, quite the opposite is true of the breed. They are gentle and loving dogs. They are great with kids. They were not referred to as the nanny's dog for nothing. Pit bulls are commonly used as therapy dogs, whether they are visiting a senior care facility or helping someone recover from an accident. Pit bulls are making a mark as outstanding therapy dogs. Pit bulls serve as narcotic and bomb-sniffing dogs. A pit bull named Popsicle, he was found in an old freezer, has the largest recorded single drug bust in Texas history. It involved 3,000 pounds of cocaine. The pit bull was so popular in the early 1900s that they were our mascot, not only in World War I, but World War II. They were featured on recruiting and propaganda posters during this time. Sergeant Stubby, a pit bull war hero, was wounded in action twice, saving his entire platoon by warning them of a poison gas attack, and he single-handedly captured a German spy. And then there was Pete the Pup on the original Little Rascals. He was a pit bull. And you know what? You just got to take a second and realize that any TV anchor that goes, and here is another pit bull story, and then you hear some awful pit bull story. These are the most laziest TV reporters. They just know, they just latch onto this sort of dog hysteria about pit bulls. And you know what? I didn't know either I before I got a boxer, I had no idea that there was like even a difference between pit bulls and boxers, and that not all pit bulls are mean, ferocious animals. You get this from the rap videos, and it's just ridiculous, our conception about the pit bulls. I've met so many nice pit bulls at the local dog parks. It's time that we opened up our minds a little bit for the pit. Meatloaf. Well, this isn't about meatloaf, it's about meat. And something that I read in Esquire, and I love what this guy wrote. It's Ross McCammon, and he writes the following. Choose a protein, the menus now demand. You know, a protein. That would be fish, chicken, turkey, beef, pork, etc. What started out as shorthand on menus at health food places in the 80s and 90s is now, bewilderingly, appearing on menus of straight-up restaurants. Nice ones, too. The problem with the term protein as nomenclature for animal flesh is not only that it's sterile, scientifically inadequate, and totally unappetizing, it's that it reduces an entire world of food, maybe our most interesting world of food, down to a mere vehicle for nutrition, which is the only word that would be more off-putting in a menu context than protein. What we're talking about is meat. Cow meat, pig meat, fish meat, bird meat. So let's stop with the protein and call it what it is and what it's always been. Meat. And it's incidentally loaded with protein. I noticed this when I went to it's like a franchise. I forget the name of it. It's a burger place in Oregon. I was in Portland, Oregon, and it's a burger place, like kind of, but you know, with the hamburgers that they charge way too much for, but they don't refer to their hamburgers as hamburgers. They call it protein, and it's just that's just so annoying.
Anything for love, anything you've been dreaming of, but I just want
protein loaf. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture was from a couple years ago. I was in Daytona Beach visiting my mom. She's doing much better, by the way, speaking of my mom. And we were walking along there by the boardwalk, and there's this pier, which that pier, that picture that you see, that's all completely changed. That Skyline ride is gone. They've got a Joe's Crab Shack down at the end. It's like a completely different color now, the pier. Hey, the Daytona Beach 500 thingy is today, huh? So that's all there in the picture, mikesdailypodcast.com, and I will be going to visit her soon, I'm hoping. I kind of like Daytona Beach. Some people don't like the whole touristy feel to it, but that water is so warm, and the people are really nice, and lots of great places to eat. I love to visit her. Oh yeah, and also because she's my mom. So that's all there. Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, Madame Rootabega.
Michael Matthew, I want to visit your mom.
You do?
Yes, I want to say hello to her and tell her that I am on your podcast all the time.
I have a hard time explaining to her what a podcast is. It's just sort of a generational thing.
Michael Matthew, what's a podcast?
It's whales that broadcast with Lester Holt, who has the most beautiful, dulcet voice. What do I say in the blog today? May I quote myself today, because it is so funky that I wrote this. This just popped out of my brain. His beautiful, uber-rounded, dulcet-toned voice. Lester Holt.
Wow, Mike, that made no sense at all.
Yeah, what about Valentino's dulcet-toned voice? Do you know that?
Yeah, it's nice. It's good, too.
You want to be dropped in a vat of maple syrup again, Mike?
Sure, let's go to IHOP.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Next show, we'll hear from Shelley Shuhart, Floyd the Floor Man, and John Deere the Engineer.